Welcome to the show. You are listening to the Her Best Self podcast, and do I have a special guest for you today? Sis, I cannot wait to share with you Jacqueline Sherman. She is dynamite. She shares so many different things about her struggle with an eating disorder and challenges that she has faced, and we dive into some nitty-gritty details with so much truth. You are absolutely going to love this one, friend. So before we get started, I just wanted to say that Jack's story is super vulnerable and raw and real. And I love this so much about her. I do want to share that at points of her story, of these things may trigger you. And the purpose of this show is to bring you inspiration to show you that there are people just like me, just like Jack, just like other ladies that I've worked with and coached to freedom, that recovery is possible. So in no way are any details of this show used to encourage any negative or unhealthy behaviors when it comes to eating disorders. But the purpose here is just to speak truth, to speak authentic, to be the voice of so many of us that have struggled with many of these behaviors far too long. So I just want to caveat the show with a trigger warning. We're going to talk about purging and binging, and we're going to talk about things that she went through in her personal story to freedom. It's important to share these things because I want you to know you're not alone if you're going through them. But I also want to encourage you to pause or stop the episode if you feel triggered at all, or fast forward it, because there are so many good moments of the story, and I don't want you to miss out on them. All right, friend, here we go. Hey girl, welcome to the Her Best Self podcast. I'm Lindsay Nickel, former competitive figure skater and perfectionist, turned God-led imperfect boy mom and digital CEO. If you find yourself constantly thinking about food and wondering if you'll wake up one day free from the obsessive thoughts and behaviors controlling your life, then I've created this podcast for you. Because I know exactly what it's like to be a downright hot mess, trapped in a destructive cycle of disordered eating. I finally found freedom, and you can too, girlfriend. So if you're ready to heal your relationship with food and body and break the chains of control and show up in your best health, then grab your favorite Tarjay journal and let's get to it. So you can start living your best life as your best self. Okay, guys, I am so excited to bring to you today Miss Jack Sherman. Jack has an inspiring story about overcoming an eating disorder rooted in challenging family dynamics that left her feeling voiceless. At age 15, during her parents' divorce, she turned to binging and to purging to cope with all the chaos that was going on. But despite trying various treatment centers and Overeaters Anonymous, real change only came after working with her therapist, who helped her identify the underlying needs driving her behaviors. Through dedicated effort, she learned to advocate for herself, set boundaries, and practice self-compassion, even when it felt a little bit forced. Her resilience is evident in her numerous comebacks after her relapses, and today she enjoys a fulfilling life with a brand new, loving marriage, rewarding career, and genuine self-acceptance. Jack's story offers hope that full recovery from an eating disorder is possible, and it underscores the importance of patience and persistence in the journey to self-love. So I absolutely love this intro, but I'm going to steal all the thunder if I do not shut my trap. So Miss Jack, can you introduce yourself and share a little bit about you to all the listeners here at Her Best Self Co?
Thank you so much for having me, Lindsay. I'm really excited to be here today. Just listening to you say that, I already feel like I'm going to start crying. So we'll see how this goes. But yeah, my name's Jacqueline. I go by Jack. So I was born in California. I have an older brother who, upon my birth, did not like me. And, looking back in hindsight, he had everything, all the attention day one. My dad wanted a girl and my mom wanted a girl. And the sex of me was a surprise. So when I was born, all of his attention was gone and shared with me. And he just hated me my whole life. My aunt told me a story that when I was just months old, she walked in on him standing over me with his foot on my stomach, pressing down. And I was terrified. I am 35 years old now. We have a good relationship, but growing up, I was very afraid of him. And I remember I would run around the house and he would be chasing me. I would eventually just give up and curl up in a ball and just wait for him to be done hitting me or whatever he was going to do. And sometimes I'd scream really loud for my mom to save me. And her response was, Jacqueline, go to your room. Stop yelling. And so from a very early age, I learned, shut up, take it, be quiet. And if you speak up, you will get in trouble, because then I would get sent to my room for screaming. But really, I was terrified. So that was not a fun or healthy dynamic to grow up in. An added layer to that was when I was 4 years old, my little brother was born. And I prayed and prayed and prayed for a girl because I thought men were scary. Got a little boy. But I will never forget the first time I met him. I fell in love with this little infant, and I could not understand how I had so much love for this little boy, but my older brother didn't have the love for me. And of course, all I could rationalize at that age was there's something wrong with me. And I just did not feel safe in my household. As you mentioned, my parents got divorced when I was 15, but like there was always this tension in the house, and I could pick up on that. I think I knew that my mom was not like fully present, and that made me feel really unseen. I was a shy girl and I was afraid. I always compared myself with other girls, just feeling very big. I mean, I think a lot of them were very petite and I was just normal, but I just remember being very aware of my body size and feeling large, and like that was a bad thing. My mom was also very self-conscious and talked about her body often. So I watched that as a little girl, and she always thought her stomach was fat. So naturally, I always thought my stomach was fat, and just learned through watching that. When I was in sixth grade, I had my first experience of like losing a little bit of weight, and I didn't try to. I just started doing swim team and it came off. But I remember people's comments, and I remember that little hit of like, ooh, like this is a good thing and I can get people's attention through this, and maybe I'm better this way. But I think at the core, just feeling like there was something wrong with me all the time and that I wasn't good enough. I was a cheerleader, again, comparing myself to all of the girls there. But yeah, when I was 15 years old, my parents got divorced, and that really was the tip of the iceberg for me, where I lost it. Their divorce was horrendous. They hated each other. They fought all the time. My mom would go to hotels to sleep at night because she couldn't be in the house. And it was just a really uncomfortable and terrible situation. They had me choose who I wanted to live with, and that was really uncomfortable because I didn't want to choose between them. But I chose my mother, and she was gone a lot. So I would come home from school every single day. And now I know that I was binging. I would eat massive amounts of food. One day, I will never forget it. I got so full that I literally could not stand up. I could not stand up straight. My stomach it was just in pain because it was so full. I had to like bend over. And I remember learning about bulimia in health class, and then watching a movie years prior, and my mom telling me they were doing it in the movie. And my mom, I asked her what it was, and she said, oh, models do that sometimes to lose weight. And so those two things at that moment in my living room, I was like, I've got to get this out of me. And so I literally crawled to the bathroom because I could not stand up and walk. I made myself throw up, and I just remember feeling like, whoa, I found the answer to all of my problems. Like everything is going to be okay now because I can eat whatever I want. I can get rid of it, and I don't have to be full. And there was a part of me that knew it was really bad, but there was a little bit of a release when I would purge. It was always copious amounts of food. And so when I would purge, it was a lot. And for me, being and feeling silenced, and again, this is all looking back now, I wasn't aware of any of this at the time, but I just knew that act of like purging for me was a way of screaming at the world. All of the things I wanted to say, all of the things I was feeling, it was just like a F you to everything, to everyone. And so when it was done, I was exhausted and I felt like, like I can breathe for a second right now. Yeah, from that first day doing it, it quickly ramped up to where I was doing it daily, multiple times per day. And my mom noticed, and I loved that. I was so desperate for her attention. I think it was like 6 months after I started purging, she caught me doing it. She came home early one day and said that she was going to get me help, and she got me a therapist. I went to my first treatment center. And I've been to 4 treatment centers total. The first one I went to was when I was 16, I think. And I learned a lot from them, but they never solved anything. I would just get out and start binging and purging again. And I've always wanted to get better. And I didn't understand why I couldn't stop. All of my friends were graduating high school and going to college and getting jobs. And like I watched them do all of that. Meanwhile, I could not get a day without binging and purging or hating myself. And so I just had a lot of shame around all of it. And I didn't understand why I couldn't stop. So eventually I found OA, and a family member actually suggested that I go there. And I was in OA for 8 years, and there are a lot of different branches of OA. There's very strict OA, not strict OA. There's all these different programs. I tried them all. The one that I was in, like, you couldn't speak in meetings until you had 90 days without binging and purging. You had to weigh and measure your food. None of this, none of that, no flour, no sugar, all these things. And it felt like this is feeding into the eating disorder more. I'm having all of these rules, all of the restrictions. But again, I was so lost. I didn't know what to do. They were telling me that this was going to solve all of my problems. I listened. I did what they said, but I could never string together the days. I still was binging and purging, binging and purging. And I think now, going and sitting down every single day and saying, "Hi, I'm Jacqueline, I'm bulimic. Hi, I'm Jacqueline, I'm bulimic. Hi, I'm Jacqueline, I'm bulimic." It just became my identity. My therapist, I remember her telling me when I was dating, "I need you to go on 3 dates and not tell them that you are bulimic until the 4th date." And I was like, they need to know what they're getting into here. And it was just so much my identity. And she's like, "There's so much more to you than that." In my last treatment center, I read Eating in the Light of the Moon by Anita Johnston, and I could not put the book down. And from the very beginning, it was just like, wait a second, this is what she's talking about me. She's talking about me. Like, this makes sense to me. All of the therapists before, the treatment centers, the meetings, they never resonated with me. And I always felt like I was missing something because I couldn't get better. But this book was so intriguing to me, and it really helped me understand my eating disorder. I ended up reaching out to Anita and scheduling to work with her. From the very first time we met, like, I will cry because I didn't even know this woman, and I knew that she got it. And I never felt like anybody really understood or could help me.
I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, you've shared so much already. Thank you so much for being so vulnerable. I love that you're willing to come on this podcast. And for the listeners who are listening, like, Jack reached out to me, and I rarely let guests come on the show that go through all the check boxes, because I'm like, I have special ladies here that need to hear certain things that is real life, right? And you and I met and we chatted, and you are it. Like, you are so authentic, and your story of just trauma leading up to really getting support, but maybe just not the right support that you needed, right? Insert Anita, which I love Anita. If you guys haven't listened to episode 113 of the podcast, make sure to check it out, because I have Anita on the show. Her and I go into like all of the myths, and her book, like, I just adore her book. I actually read it during treatment as well. And so having someone to make you feel seen, and that's so important in recovery, is if you're sitting in that place of no one gets me, people don't care if I'm here or not. I have this secret, which was once fueling me, but now it's literally choking me. Like, I'm dying with this secret, and I want people to see this part of me and go, I care, I'm here, and you're enough just the way you are. All of that is very similar even to my story. I think just for the listeners too, to hear that coming from you, you're so authentic. And the fact that your struggle is so deeply rooted but here you are. And we're going to get to like all the good stuff, guys, but here you are so strong and being able to share that truth with the world. For one, you should be so super proud of that. But for two, it gives so much hope and honor to women out there that feel like this is their secret and they're dying with it. Even going back till you felt this release, like you were screaming, it was your way to get back at something. It's that in itself that I think can keep us in that place of being trapped and chained, because it feels like relief. But one thing that I share constantly is it's temporary. It's temporary.
It's a microsecond.
Right? Like I look back at when I was restricting, barely eating at all, and thinking I was on top of the world, watching other people eat, because I felt so superior. It was like this of, you know what I'm talking about? Like all the ladies listening know what I'm talking about. Like it was this fume of I'm on top of the world and no one can touch me. I'm untouchable. Dopamine hit.
Yep.
For a millisecond in time.
And my story is bulimia, but I also have like little periods of anorexia too. And I remember my very first time not eating for an entire day and feeling like I was the best thing out there in the world. Like, watch out, I'm doing it again tomorrow.
Yeah, it's our identity we found as the safe place, but our brain doesn't know that what it's doing is harmful.
Right.
And so we keep doing the same thing and the same thing, but then expecting different results. And so the fact that you were saying that out loud, even when you tell that part of your story, I cringe inside. I literally cringe inside, because that is one of the first things we do in coaching together, my private clients, is we're no longer identifying with the version of ourselves that aren't serving us anymore. Like put the oatmeal on the counter and talk to it and say, you are not for this tonight. I am capable of walking in this kitchen and not purging and not, like it's no longer identifying with that version of you. So I love that. You talk about when we were chatting, and I know the listeners weren't part of our entire conversation, although I wish they would have heard all the other fun stuff we were talking about, but it was critical for you to find out how the eating disorder was serving you. And I know I just referenced that too. And really what was like underneath of that and how you learned to be able to leverage that for your superpower against the disorder, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what keeps us either trapped or free, is leveraging that very thing to get us out of it. Can you talk a little bit about what was that biggest challenge or that aha moment of this isn't serving me anymore? Like, what am I doing? And how did you get yourself out of that?
Well, one thing I did want to share real quick is I'm not a poet. I'm not artistic at all, but I wrote this poem when I was a senior in high school. So a couple years into my bulimia, and it's very short. I'm just going to read it. And it says, finally, a voice of my own, a way to stand tall, a way to fight back. Finally, a voice not at all, just a quick release, an episode of rage deep in my throat. My finger can fix it. Not today, maybe tomorrow. For now, I am left broken. For now, I am still unspoken. And that is like how I felt.
Like I literally just got chills going through my whole body.
You know, going to all these treatment centers, you see a wide range of ladies in there. And one thing that always stuck out to me is that I honestly had the desire to get better. And I think there are a lot of people that are pretty thick in it and they don't care. And I definitely had that too, but I always deep down was like, there's gotta be a better life than this. Like, this is miserable.
Me too. And I will say, I think every person listening, whether they want to hear this or not, I'm just going to speak it because, hey, it's my podcast. And
that's right, girl.
Right? You're listening because you want more.
Yeah.
You aren't coming here because you're in that place of like, I don't care. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you're listening to the show, if nothing else you do today matters, just know that there is a spark inside, exactly what you're talking about, Jack, but like for the listener right now, there is a spark inside of you that wants more for you, or you would not be here. However you came into this place, I'm happy you're here. Not self-serving, happy you're here for you. But there is a spark inside that wants more. So I love that you talk about that because that was what drove me too. I'm not going to be a statistic is what I would constantly say.
Yeah.
And that is the difference. You can only fail if you quit.
Yes. And I had somebody say to me very early on, it doesn't matter how many times you fall down, it matters how many times you pick yourself up. And that has been one of my most life-changing statements, because I have fallen down so many times. And I don't know how many times I've said, or journaled, I'm so tired of picking myself back up. Why am I even trying anymore? And yeah, it's a rough road out there. So that first meeting with Anita, she told me, and I don't remember if it was hundreds or thousands, but she said, I have worked with hundreds and hundreds of bulimics who are recovered, period. No food plan, no weighing and measuring, no calling their sponsor every day, no body image issues. And I was just bawling. Like, I knew that she was being real and this was actually possible. But the whole leading up to this, nobody had ever said that was possible. In OA, it was, you were born an addict, you have to do this forever, or else you're going to go back to your eating disorder and die. And so it was just like, what? This is possible? And I believed her. I felt, even though I didn't even know her, I felt like she knew me and she saw me and she could help me. So one of the first things she had me do is track my urges. She said, do not stop binging and purging. Just write the time, the day, what you were doing, what you were thinking about, when you wanted to binge and purge. And she said, go ahead and binge and purge. Like, we're just gathering information here.
Yeah.
That was the most uncomfortable assignment for me to do, because it is all I thought about. It was my everything. If I was happy, sad, upset, I thought about it all day long. It was humiliating to get that on paper. And, I was living this, but then to write it down and to share it with somebody else of how often I was actually thinking about this was mortifying.
Yeah, your secret then is no longer a secret. Like, I lied, blatantly lied to my dietitian and told her I was eating all these things. And she was like, Lindsay, if you want me to help you, the first step you need to do is help you. And that's exactly the guidance that, you got to. We have to get data. This is an experiment. I say it all the time. This is just an experiment. And getting the data to collect the story is the first place that you start, right?
Yes.
And so for me, it was, okay, now I got the secret out. Here are all the things. And in my case, it was none of the things that I said I was doing, was I doing? I think what that does, and I'd like your thoughts too, but what that does is it actually gets you out of denial. Like, holy crap, I'm lying to myself. And even I believe the lie.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a lot different than how I'm viewing it, because the whole time I'm bargaining with what I'm doing.
Right.
So
yes.
It feels like justified or okay.
Right? The secrecy in this disease is insane.
Yeah.
Being really honest and grossly honest has been a huge part of my recovery. And a couple things that I learned is, first of all, it was my one and only coping skill for life. That was it. That's all I had. I didn't have much else. And so seeing that was really interesting. Like, oh, this good thing happened on that day, and then I binged and purged. Or, oh, I went on a great date, and then I came home and binged and purged. Like, it was just, this is all I've got in my tool belt here. And it's not helping for anyone that was wondering. And then we really got to look at what was really underneath all of this, and kind of figured out over time some key things that were driving this and what I was gaining from doing it.
Yeah.
And I was very miserable by this time. Anytime I did it, I hated myself. After a while, like, my cheeks would get really swollen, and it was humiliating to be seen, because I just felt like everyone knew. And so when she would say, we need to figure out how it's serving you, and I was like, it's not serving me, it's miserable. You don't understand. And she always phrased it like, let's just get curious. Let's just check this out. So for me, not using my voice, huge, 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 huge thing for me. Being overwhelmed. Those are my two biggest triggers. So I didn't realize how much I was not saying, not speaking up. It could be something as small as I don't want to go to that birthday party, but I go anyways. Or as big as, a boss being abusive to me and me not saying anything and just taking it. And purging. And I knew from that poem that I wrote long, long ago, like I look back at it now and the writing was all on the wall, but my purging for me was really my using my voice. And the only way I knew how, it was really my screaming at all of the things that I actually wanted to be saying that I wasn't.
So interesting that you put it like that. The thought around what it is that we're actually trying to get, because we don't do anything that's not serving us. Like we just don't as human beings. And
yes.
So when you talk about you just wanted that relief, you were screaming, your voice, right, wasn't really yours.
Mm-hmm.
And so you needed to get that. And that was your place. That was your coping mechanism. What do you think changed?
Well, I really think a lot of this insight helped. And one more piece I want to add is that doing the whole binge and purge act is a long, exhausting process, right? You got to fantasize about what you're going to eat, go get it, eat all the food, purge, eat more. It's a whole thing. By the time I was done, I'm exhausted, literally exhausted. And I felt like when I was younger, I could do it a lot more and not be as affected. But then as I got older, it really started affecting me. And I would skip work and go home, binge and purge, and then lay in bed the rest of the day. So what I learned too is that I'm also an overachiever, which probably a majority of your listeners are, and I do too much. And I have a to-do list of 50,000 things when they can really wait, but they all feel urgent. So what I realized too is by doing this whole act of binging and purging, I then hate myself, feel not good enough, and I'm exhausted. So I'm laying in bed the rest of the day, not getting anything done. So now I take my list of 50,000 things and I star the things that have to get done today, no matter what. And usually it's one or two things. Everything else can wait. I don't have to do the laundry today. I don't have to do this today. And then I ask my inner child, what do you actually need? And sometimes I'll color, I'll go for a walk, I'll take a little nap, I'll take a break and read, whatever I need to do. And now what actually happens is once I take that little break, then I'll end up being productive later. But I have to allow myself, I'm doing too much and it's okay to slow down, which is not something I could ever even dream about doing years ago.
Gosh, that speaks to me because I'm the same way as you. I know we've talked about this. Pretty much every client I've ever worked with is like us, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a prereq to the illness, but it's a self-sabotaging behavior. And we actually, if we're conscious enough to get really clear in our minds to sit with that, we know what we're doing. It's a way of not having to do anything. So it's okay, I go to this coping mechanism. I'm already feeling like a failure. Let me just put some cherries on top of that. And then now I'm going to sit here because I know that this is the pattern that I do. And therefore I feel further behind. It's the emotional eating continuum. But it's a way of okay, well, you haven't arrived or you haven't
Right.
gotten there. And so one thing about healing from the disorder, the tools that you're talking about is just getting very present and conscious with what do I need right now, which I love. How do I get that right now? Putting yourself first. It's prioritizing you, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for us because we're people pleasers and we want everyone to like us.
Nobody else is going to save me except for me.
Oh, so good.
I have been in so many abusive relationships because I thought they were going to save me. And it is just a hard truth to learn. Nobody's going to pick me back up. I have to do it. And once I started realizing that after being abused and not good relationships and being left in the dirt, it was just I got to do this. I've got to find the strength inside of me to pick myself back up, keep walking forward, and really work through this because nobody is going to do it for me.
So, hey girl, I'm going to pause us right here I know that you have probably received so much from today's show, but Jack and I have so much left to chat about. So I encourage you to listen back into this one, hold on to that inspiration, that hope. You're worth it. Your recovery is so worth it. You're just beginning, sis, and I don't care how long you've been doing this, you deserve a life of freedom. Meet us back here on Friday for part 2 of Jack's story.